Well, hey y'all, it's Barry's Best Honey. I'm Mike, and I do bees. Well, hey y'all, welcome back to another day in my 2020 beekeeping season. Y'all know the spiel. Trying to take y'all away from winter through the summer. Here in my small operation in southeast Louisiana. And remember, I am not here to make a how-to video. I'm trying to figure it out myself. Well, got to go through and check and see where we're at with honey stores. That's the game plan. Just basically open and maybe pull supers up and down and see what's getting capped, what's not. And that way it'll give me an idea, because I'm getting close to when I normally pull honey. I pull honey normally the end of July or beginning of August. I usually do a pull right at the end of May. And I guess I could have went in and probably pulled 4 or 5 supers. Probably should have, because a couple hives weakened and got robbed out, and I lost 3 supers of honey each. But I normally go through and pull some of the lower end supers that are capped with the spring honey, and I didn't do it this year because I just had a lot of swarming and buildup was slow, and I just left them alone. And I don't know how many I would have got anyway, but I left them alone. So those will probably be capped in the bottom. But then I go on my second pull, and that's end of July. The last 2 years been end of July. So I like to go through a couple weeks before and see what's capped, see what's going to be. I can put a mental note in my head of who's ready to go, because some stuff don't always, I don't pull them all sometimes. So that's the goal for today, is peeking the tops of the hives, and I'll probably go look at that one hive where I found that surprise queen last week. So hey, we got to get going here. It's getting hot. Don't want it to get too hot. The sun's going up overhead. We're going to get rolling. Alright folks, what we do, I just go hive by hive. Take a look. This one shouldn't have much. This actually was one I just stuck a super on to give him some space. And the flow was winding down, but you never know. I'm hoping by fall they'll put something in it. They got her glued down good, that's for sure. Well, I say that and it's almost full of honey. Small hive beetles are starting to show up in number. Let's give them a little smoke. So they actually filled this up at the end of the flow. 10 frame box, 1, 2, 3. So if it was 10 frame, I'm guessing it was all foundation, because I run 9 frame with drawn. Yeah, so we're filling up good with honey. And the first frame's a little slack, but I think what we're seeing here is the rest of them being full. Yeah, they're filling them up good. So, yep, nice honey. And it's all the way across. The outside ones seem to cap faster, so let's check the middle. See if we got brood in here. So a lot of times we'll have brood in the middle, and they cap it last. Nope, they're capped all the way in the middle too. So this will be a pull in a couple weeks. And that's it. That's what I do. For anybody that's not necessarily beekeepers watching, you can see the white wax, and you can tell, and you can see it's capped. That's how you can tell they're full. So that's a super full of honey. Well, I say full, the outside frames aren't completely done, but that's okay. Like this one's just being drawn out, but the flow's done now. So that's impressive actually, because this is kind of a last ditch effort to put this one on. That's exciting. This hive, let's see, a lot of bees on the back of it. And this one's also, oh, it's got a rotten front. Same with this one, but this one, it's not all the way full. It's cleaned up and ready for honey. This is a 9 frame box, so I can pull any frame, but this one here, see, we got honey in it, but it ain't capped. I want 90% of it capped. This one's almost, it's only 3/4, and so the outside probably isn't full. So we'll have a partial on this one. Looks like this is the kind of ideas I want to know. What am I looking at? Am I gonna pull them all? Okay, this one's not got hardly anything in it. So, but they've cleaned this up and resurfaced it, and it's getting honey put in it. But the flow's over, so what you see is what you get kind of with this box. They're not fond of me being in here. You gotta be careful this time of year. When the flow is stopped, you gotta get in, get out, and don't bust much honey. This is full. This needs to be capped. You don't want to get robbing going, because once the flow stops, it is minutes. Minutes, I'm telling you, and you gotta stop. Now there's a foundation box under this, so I don't expect it to have much. But at least we got a box on this one that's full. Oh yeah. Let me look at this real quick, because so the outsides are drawn. That's 7 frames in here, so this was a late ad. This hive swarmed. But that's it. All right, you're sitting on number 3. I'm not worried about that one. That's the one with a new queen. Let's look at number 4. It's tall. It's up to my chin. One of the things I like to look at too is, do I have bees up top? Not roaches. Do I have bees? If I got bees, that means I'm populated enough to guard. Ooh, yeah, I'd say. So, just gonna look at this, and I can tell this one's full. And actually, these hives on this stand, I'm not concerned about too much. We got 4 supers on here. And that's why I don't use deeps. I want to see this foundation box mainly. Foundation, it's drawn. All right, we're gonna leave it alone. There's no way I could pull a deep off of there that high. It'd have to be frame by frame. And this stand, like I said, I'm not worried about too much. There's other stands over there with tall hives that don't have a lot of bees. That's the ones I'm concerned with. Yep. Full up. And there's 3 supers on here. Take a quick gander underneath this one. Oh, this is one of my very first honey supers. Bought it from a guy. It's flimsy. This one don't look as good underneath, but I see some capped honey. Alright, so we're gonna put this one down. Let's look at the bottom. This is a beautiful sight in a 9-frame box. I'm gonna show you something in a 9-frame box. It's a beautiful sight. This is why I like running 9-frame boxes, guys. This is why. You see that honey? I call that fat honey. You see, it uncaps so easy. It's not about getting more per box. When I first started, everybody talked about you get more honey in a 9-frame box. I don't know if that's true or not. I'm not saying it's not. I'm not saying it is. But what I like about them is it makes it so easy to uncap. These 5 are good to go. Robbing around here, you gotta understand, here we don't have steady flows for a while and then the dearth. We have 2 decent flows and then it stops. Then goldenrod comes and that normally doesn't yield a bunch for us. Now, the robbing around here, okay, so the other day I put out like 4 frames of capped honey. Literally, it was beautiful. Capped honey, and then the other half of the frame was nectar. And I may have had 500 to 1,000 bees over there just meandering around, checking it out, eating it, cleaning it out. They were eating it. The last video, you saw them bees. A honey buffet, but it wasn't a whole lot of bees. Because when you put honey out during a dearth, it's a cloud. So that went on for a few days, probably about 4 or 5 days. And then one day, it's like with these flows around here, a switch gets turned on and boom, it's bees everywhere, and that's what happens. I haven't seen that just yet. They did get a little more populous and clean out that honey a little faster, but I haven't seen the cloud. So We're right there though. We're right there where I don't like to keep them open very, very often. So I'm looking at that nuke right now. I think I'm gonna go ahead and take a quick look at that. We put a frame, an empty drawn comb in there to see if that queen was viable and if she was laying. Let's look. Bottom line, I really just need to see if she's laying. I'm gonna look for her. She was a surprise to me. They've already put nectar on the top of this. All right, guys, there's no eggs in that frame that we put in there. We gave her a chance. Like I said, I should have squished her. That's people were asking why I didn't go ahead and combine it with the other one, make the 2 frame a 10 frame, and different reasons. It's because she wasn't doing anything. But let's see, these cells have been cleaned out since. For some reason, she's not laying, and we need to know why. But she's not viable anymore, guys, because I just squashed her. Yeah, I don't know what was wrong with that queen. There's no eggs in this thing. Here she is, guys. I went to put the cage on her and it got her, but you know, she's still, it's just as well. She is not a viable queen. She's just not. I'm trying to pick her up by her wings with my gloves, but she's not viable. There's no eggs. She's been in there for weeks now and there's no eggs. So what I'm gonna do is combine them with the hive I was gonna originally combine them with. All right, folks, well, I got you an update. We gave her a week. They filled with nectar, no eggs, and granted they needed time to polish the cells, but next door they had already had some polished. Could have been 2 things. That frame wasn't polished quite that clean last week, and maybe she is a new queen. Maybe she's at least 2 weeks old. She's got to be at least 2 weeks old, and maybe she's just slow in getting started. I don't know. But she still hadn't got eggs in there. So I said, well, I'll catch her, and put the clip down and let it in slow like I normally do. And she was one of the bees that was in the bundle. She got in the clip, and it must have been just right because she was between a couple bees, and it killed her immediately. I've never seen one die by getting pinched a little bit like that, but she died quick. It's just as well. There's no eggs, and she's got to be 2 weeks old. There's not even any open cells in there. Like, you can't even see any old cells that were ripped open. I just don't think she's a viable queen. We'll never know, but there's still no eggs. At least 10 days since she's been out. So she definitely should, you know, be laying. But they were polishing cells. Who knows? Maybe she was just getting ready to start, but she won't now, unfortunately. And that's okay. There's not that many bees. Something's not right with that queen. I just don't get a good feeling about that hive. I can look in it and tell it's just not looking right. It's just different. And you guys are beekeepers, you know what I'm talking about. It's just different. And I think that's what we got here with her. Something was just not right. All right, so let's go back to checking honey boxes. That's what we're really out here to do. Now these, all right. This was a foundation super that was put on late, very late. And it looks like they attempted to draw it out. Wow, that smoke got me. And they just didn't quite get there. It's got honey in it, but it's not all the way drawn. So this is about the time the flow ran out right there. Okay, so I'll do with this one. Let's see what the bottom one looks first before I say what I'm gonna do with this one. Because they're roaring awful loud. Yeah, this one's full. Beetles are starting to pick up now. This is the time of year they start really getting bad. It's another reason if you got a weak hive, you need to get the honey off down here. Don't prolong it. Oh, that's full. It's all the way capped too. Another pretty frame. This is what I like. That's what I like. Fat honey. All right, so we know we got at least one on there. This was my utility nuke. I am going to check it because it was full of honey at one point, and I'll probably, yeah, see, it's full of honey again. And I'll probably rob this thing of honey. Just 5 frames. This utility nuke worked out good. I've used it a couple times so far. Oh, that's full of honey. Yep, and then so this one's almost full of honey too. I can look in and see. So they'll have plenty. See, I'm making a mess. I don't want to make too much of a mess. This doesn't have a screen bottom, but so yeah, that'll be 5 deep frames, which is equivalent to about 8 mediums, and that'll get pulled. All right, and these are the hives I'm really concerned about. Number 11 was a fine hive, and I do believe it swarmed. And number 11, it's gone. I didn't tell you about that one, didn't show you that one. Number 12, it's got bees in it, but I don't know. They were in the top, but I'm not sure about them. So I guess one of the main things I'm doing, guys, is just checking hives that may be too weak to guard themselves from either pests or robbing, and determining whether I need to pull honey earlier than later. This one I don't expect much out of. It swarmed late, and it looks like I'm right to expect nothing out of it because the foundations aren't even touched. But let's see what's in the bottom. This was a swarm right as the flow started, and when that happens, no honey. When you see that swarm leave, you're watching honey leave. So I'm actually going to just pull these off. Yeah, that's empty. And that one has got something in it. Now, this one's got a little bit in it, but I'm afraid of what I'm seeing. I'm seeing something very, very wet, and yeah. Okay, so here's what happens. Looks like we got small hive beetle damage in here. Let's see. No, maybe not, but it's wet. It shouldn't be, yeah, it's small hive beetle. Let me show you how you can tell small hive beetle damage. See, that honey is, you can see it from the top, the edges of the comb is wet. This swarm probably didn't make, we're gonna have to, and I got beetles coming out everywhere. That's another sure sign, of course. So we're gonna have to feed this back to bees. Telltale sign right there. I don't know if you can see it, I'm gonna show you from my angle. See the glare? This hive's actually dead. This is pretty much slime. This hive's ruined. Oh yeah, look, I'll show you even more. Yep, there's the maggots. Can't save anything in this one, actually. Now it's completely done. And let me show you this. See that? All that honey. There's some bees there, but starting to get some wax moth down in there, it looks like. Yep. So this is a dead out. So what will I do with that? That's frustrating. But that hive swarmed a long time ago. They just don't requeen well down here when they swarm in the summer. It's really not summer, but in the late spring. So what I'll do with this, I'm gonna go take it and probably put it out in the field, and I'm going to let the bees rob out what's still good in it, and I'm going to take it away from here. I'm going to put it back together for now. I don't want to get robbing going in the yard, and I'll let them clean it out what they can, and then we'll get all the frames frozen. They're priority to be frozen. All them beetles in there. Yeah, we'll be pulling honey soon, guys. Don't you worry. That's full of honey. Oh, goodness. Full of honey. So there's 3 solids. And that's full of honey. So I got 3 full supers and a little bit of comb honey out of them. That's a tall hive. When you go to lifting those boxes, you get tired quick when you're old. All right, got 1, 2, 3 more to check. This is a late ad. This is a late hive, so I don't have a lot of confidence in it. Yeah, let me leave this super on though. And this one, they drew out 2 frames. Tell you what I might do with this one, since I got it open and we ain't got no robbing going on. I'm gonna condense them down to 1. Cause I got some empty frames here. Now these are totally, I'm not planning on getting anything from these because of how they were set up. So if anything is in here, that's a bonus. And bonus. Full box. Let's see what's underneath. So I wasn't planning on getting anything out of these, but oh, and another full box. That's another full box. That's good because this is off of a single brood chamber. This is one of those ones I did an experiment with an excluder and a single brood chamber, and it worked. Well, look at there. That's a full box. Let's see how well they're capping. That's all the way done. And looking down below, it looks like a full box. That's 3 supers I wasn't planning on. That's good. That'll help the cause. And plus what I got down at the dairy. Oh, the beetles are coming out. Guys, I gotta get... Oh, man. Yep, that one's full. Alright, we're good. And that's all the honey supers in this yard. So, not bad. I'm pleased. I'm very pleased. I was expecting it to be a lot worse with the swarms. So, granted, 2 major hives are gone. That's a shame. And the comb honey doesn't look like it's going to work out well this year at all. Dead pupae. Those are actually pupae that when they got slimed, they all came out. Small hive beetles, man, what a mess those things are. So I got this near an ant bed, and I'm gonna put a bottom board over top of the ant bed screen and lay the deeps kind of over that. Now, there's particular YouTubers out there, old timers too. They tell you, oh, I'm breathing hard, that was heavy. To just throw the whole thing down on top of an ant bed. Don't do that. Don't do that. Well, if you don't mind basically destroying a piece of comb, well, then do that. But man, I tried that years back, and what a mess. Don't do that. Already got a little bit of wax moth going in, so these got to be frozen. And then the ones that are completely ruined, I'll throw those away. And what the beetles do is they defecate in there and they ruin it. And most of the time the bees have gone. This is probably her right here. If she's here, I'll save her. These are the last 2 dry frames. Oh, and it's not really even dry, and they're staying on it. Let's see if I see the queen. Oh yeah, there she is. There's a queen right there. I'm gonna put them in a 2 frame. In here. I'll just leave them a frame for now. I'm gonna thaw out some honey and give to them. Sure hope I didn't just shake that queen off in the grass. See a couple bees. Let's look for her. see her in the grass. You say use a feather. No, they don't like a brush. This is going to be a one, you don't see me do this often. It's not that I'm ruthless. I just cut my losses. I don't try and nurture hives too much this late in the game because they end up dying usually, but hey, there was a queen. I think I shook her in there all right. I got a medium frame of honey that I was going to leave out to be robbed. It's like only got about, I don't know, 10% honey on it, and I didn't have room for it. So what I'm going to do is put that in here. It's a medium, but that'll be fine. It'll be food for them. I'm going to go put them in the shade, even though that's the worst place for them for hive beetles, but it's the most protected place I got right now. And see, I got this frame. That's more than enough for that little colony. They probably don't have any foragers. They probably left town. So we're going to try and save them. The bees won't mess with slimed honey because it's not clean anymore. That's why this whole box, there's nothing, that I took that honey out of was not from the same box. That was from that other hive that I condensed super. So I got this top box on. I'm seeing a few bees from the colony. I'll give them back to that queen. This is the stuff in beekeeping that's painful to deal with because it's hot. You're not planning on it, and all of a sudden here you are out in the middle. The day is gone now. They'll probably eat that. And they'll eat this last frame. Still got some bees in that colony. So if you ever wondered, the bees, none of them on this side where it's all wet and nasty, but on the dry side, that's where they're at. They're basically just holed up where they can find some decent place to stay. So they didn't actually abscond because the queen's there. So, gosh, this is nasty. I hate small hive beetles. There's actually a good amount of bees left in here. I'll go ahead and put them in there too. And give them a decent chance to survive. It's almost time to harvest, so I needed to go through and be sure I didn't have any weak hives that had the possibility of being robbed or taken over by pests. You saw one. It was a swarm a while back. And you saw I found a little queen in that little bunch of bees. It ended up being a decent amount of bees for a 2-frame. So I just put them in a 2-frame to give them a chance. So I know there'll probably be some comments asking, well, why didn't you go ahead, since you know that they got a queen and the 5-frame you killed the queen, combine them? Well, because it's just too much trouble. It's just too much trouble. It's easier just to throw those 5-frame bees into another hive, into a nice populated hive, and there's not that many bees anyway, than to put those struggling bees in there with her and hope that they don't kill the queen. You know, because then it drags out and drags out. And I don't drag stuff out in the summer down here. It's not the time. It's hot. The beetles you see are just taking over at this point. Any weak hive is going to take over. They could very well get back in the little hive. They might get in that one that doesn't have a queen. There weren't that many bees in there. It's just better. That hive was basically doomed. If I hadn't have found it, it would have died anyway. I did find it, gave them a second chance in a small 2-frame that they can guard pretty well because they only got a medium frame of honey and an empty comb frame. And you know, I could probably cage the queen and introduce her that way, but it's too late for all that. It's just so late, and it's just a lot of work to take a chance on. So I'm not going to do that. That's why I just put them in 2-frame. I'm going to shake out those other bees next to a hive, shake them out, and then they'll go get themselves, they'll beg their way into a hive and they'll be fine. And we'll reuse the bees, freeze the frames, and we'll be done with it. So that's the answer to any questions that may come up if you're wondering why I didn't do that. But hey, we got quite a few full ones out there. That's good. I'm gonna go do the same thing at the pond later when it cools down a little bit, so I probably won't take y'all with me because it's gonna be exactly the same thing I just did. I'm gonna look, boom, 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 put them back together, mental note who's getting pulled next week, and move on. Sound like a plan? So guys, everything looked okay, but I'm happy to see some full supers. It's always gratifying to see full supers. My operation is not a major honey operation. I just sell a certain amount each year that I know I need, and it pays for the hobby, and it pays for extra, and it's a little extra in my pocket, and it's just a little extra income. So so I don't make a ton of honey, so I'm happy and grateful for what I get. And you said I've got to wait for these now to be capped. I looked through them and kind of glanced in them, and a lot of them aren't capped. It'll be another couple weeks at least. And so what I got to do is watch. There's 2 or 3 hives out there, maybe 1 or 2 maybe, that are kind of weak. I know they swarmed since the honey flow, and I need to watch them. Most of them I'm just going to leave for the next 2 weeks. Won't touch them. Those couple, I got a mental note of who's kind of weak, and I need to go through, take a quick gander inside, and make sure the bees are still enough to cover the frames. I don't want pests taking over. I don't want them to get robbed, because I need all the honey I can get right now, because we're a little bit slack this year. So all I'll do is pop the top. If they got plenty of bees, I'll shut it back and wait another week. So I do got to do that. It's got to be capped though. I need it capped. So if they do pop the top, I do see they're weak. Well, I'm gonna need to take those supers and maybe throw them on a healthy hive that can cover them for another week or 2. So that's all there is to it. That's all I need to do today. Oh, and the surprise on the queen. That's crazy. She just, oh, she's still laying on that lid. She just wasn't doing it. She wasn't getting it. And then of all things, she got caught in the clip. That's a sign. You know what? That's a sign. So I'm gonna combine them. I don't have a place for the frames yet, so I'll leave them sit for another couple days. There's no eggs in there, so they're hopelessly queenless. And she just, that was a strange situation. They just didn't look right. So I'll leave them for another week, and maybe I'll cycle some frames tomorrow afternoon. I'll get through. But that's all there is for today, guys. I appreciate y'all coming along, and I sure appreciate everybody watching. It's been a good time, and man, we're almost to honey harvest. A couple more weeks, and we'll be in the air condition, nice and clean, cutting frames and spinning honey. So guys, again, I appreciate everybody watching. I appreciate y'all following along, especially those guys that have been following along the whole time. I'm hoping you can see the progression. I know it's here and there and everywhere when we do it, but you know, I try to at least go through them somewhat and see where we're at and try and do follow-ups. But look, if you guys like the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. That really does help it get out to other people that are searching for bee videos, and I really think bee videos from all over give people a chance to really get an objective opinion and view of everything, because there's so many variables in beekeeping in so many regions. So if you liked it, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button, and don't forget to share it with your friends, your family, and anybody just enjoys watching bees. This is Barry's Best Honey. I'm Mike, and I do bees. Y'all have a wonderful afternoon, a wonderful rest of the weekend, and God bless y'all.